Welcome
Yeah,
today to the journey in the world of Richard Ruijtenbeek, advisor of Dutch governments and international governments on sustainable project development. And today we will dive in the path that Richard uh, took to become who he is today and why. And most importantly, what he wants to achieve with that. Richard is a very busy man. So today we have a short for 30 to 45 minutes. If anyone that's participating has questions, we have time for that. We make time for that, but it will be a little bit shorter than we planned. So not 1 hour. So Richard, welcome.
thank you, Damy. Good to see you.
I'm gonna do it really to the point. So I want to take people into a journey how you developed your beliefs from when you were a young guy studying at the MTS Electro, what I remember, and from that point off, developed to who you are now. And we know each other, I think more than 20 years now.
Yeah, really, really long time from Rotterdam. Yeah,
We did a lot of recruitment together, but also project management and really cool sustainable projects. So it's like Hypraat Neutraal, Dakpark. Those are interesting things. But if you read my resume, you will see that. But now today, I want to know who is Richard Ruijtenbeek when he is at work as a person.
most of the time talking for projects. So no, I work these days for the city of Amsterdam and Amsterdam Southeast. So it's a mixed area. Also work in Rotterdam, also a mixed area where we transform the whole suburb from fossil fuels to sustainable heat. And I also work in Utrecht on the campus, where all the campus buildings, so that's where the university is. It's a really big place where we transform all the buildings also to sustainable. So, and if you see it, it's like three separate projects, but all really nice projects with a lot of people. For example, in the southeast in Rotterdam, it's the mixed area, so a lot of different cultures. And when I'm on work, I'm mostly helping and training people from the government, and also doing that on the job. So I have a task and the KPIs, and I would just help the people to develop. And at the end, if it goes okay, they do it by themselves. So when the project is going good and they're no longer needed, then I stop the project and they will take over. That's the most of the times. But most of the times, talking and also make special times in the real life projects to meet the people and to talk to people what they think it's important in their suburb, what they're living in the sustainable world.
Well, I remember you when we met the first time in, I think it was some project in Rotterdam for the government. I remember you as a really a no-nonsense guy, always on the point and yelling here and yelling there, and everybody have to run. And you became a totally different person. How did you experience that yourself?
The nicest thing was I heard recently, I trained a lot of people, so that they're really training. And they say, be sure if you work for research, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to be very professional, but you have to work hard. No nonsense. And the same with me. If you work for government, it's people of the community that you're paid off. So I think you have to well inform, and at the end, that are your clients, not your boss in the office who give you an extra raise. It's not the mayor, the people in the living areas that are your client. And if you see that and you work together, it's not like working. It's like building a new society of community together. So I think it has to be working. It's not hard working, it's building a new community, a new sustainable environment where a lot of opportunities are for people who doesn't have it now. So it's not like you have to perform if you work for a government. It's not like a lazy job. That's what I think in my teams, but that's what people want. Watch out if you work for Richard. You're gonna learn a lot, train a lot, be very professional, but you have to work hard. Yeah, I don't like lazy people. The two people I don't like to come along that are lazy people and people are not motivated. Everybody has something where it's good in, and it has to be in the highest level. It also can be on the lowest level that you perform in perfect, a small way, but also giving something to society. That you don't have to be the best. It's always about being good on your level, what you can achieve.
And if you look at the situation, because you are a no-nonsense guy, and I remember also that you had a nickname called Mr. Halftime. So everybody
Yeah.
loved you because you saved a lot of money for governments and project developers and construction companies. But you always then also the spider in the web, right? So you are a no-nonsense guy. You push the project forward where you want to have it, but political people are usually a little bit slow in decision maker. So how do you balance that?
The first thing, if you're in a project, you can always say the end problems or the end decisions, if there are problems, are for me. So I will back the team. If somebody has to be offered, or has to be or go along, that's also when you're hired in the government. Then at the end, if something goes wrong, that's up to you. So I always say we will have a nice team, and if something goes wrong, then it's up to me, and I will solve it. That's something to know very well, that because a lot of people are hired as a consultant think differently. They have to do a report. They have to be nice to all the people who are in charge in that situation in the government. But I think we have a task, and that when I start with the task, we're very clear, write down what I have to do. Otherwise, I don't. And then we perform, like just in a company, also with the government, what I have to achieve and what are the end goals. And something is wrong, yeah, that's up to me. I have to solve that. So the politics are for me. All the shitty things going up in the project are for me. And that's also what I have to manage. And the worst thing what I had on the project is that 4 people died because of a car accident. So it wasn't very special. It's by the roof park, which you mentioned. There was an in front of it. There was a car driving. We understood later where you can have 50 kilometers an hour. Went 130 like a Ram van, so really big pickup truck, and he crashed 4 people. And when you work for the government in the Netherlands, they first say the project is wrong. So the people are in the street, people of my team, they say you're wrong. So then in that kind of situation, I said if something goes wrong, I will suffer my job, and I will be the one to blame, not the people in the job. That's something you always have to remember. If you can do that, you can also ask people to perform in the job what they have to do. Because in the end, I am the one to blame, and I am the one to leave if something goes wrong. So that's why you also can ask something a little bit more of your team, because in the end they know I'm the end decision maker. So if something is wrong, it's up to me. So the non-nonsense is you have to perform, and we'll take the best, but also it has to be fun. I also say it's inspiration and so and sometimes in the beginning of the project, it's more like you have to work hard, but in the end, when it's fun, it's another job. Then it's something nice. And also learning something new can be something nice, where you think you're professional, feeling good. And I always say, if you learn a lot, then after 1 to 3 years or 1.5 years, also when you start, you can go for a new job and earn more money because you learned so many. But a lot of people want to have you. So at the end, I think in government projects, you can learn a lot if people let you learn a lot, because that's the other thing. If you want to let the people stay small in your team, just not to grow, then also people get frustrated and not motivated. So that's also important. And the mix of people. I worked for a big constructor. I don't mention the name of one of the top 5. And when I came there on the team, there were more than 100, I think 150, 120 in that team. Only men. There were no women, except for there were two women, professional, and the rest were men. Yeah, of course, there were secretary people at the desk. And then you can, if you have a man's world like that, that's also not good. So the mixture of cultures, men, women, has to be nice. If you only have men in your teams, I call it also the Paquito, that's the big monkey in the zoo here. They have big stories about everything. And when the ladies are in the team, the guys get more relaxed, being more stay to the ground. So also that, and when you work in the government, especially, we see that in Rotterdam and now also in Amsterdam, it has to be like a mirror of the society. So if you have different kind of people's culture in, so if you have Christian people, Muslim people, also that has to be in your government team, because it has to be a mirror of your society. And that's one of the nicest tests, and also that you learn to work together in team with a different culture, but also learn a lot from each other. So that's the motivation for me, is also a nice neighborhood with a good culture. I don't like the neighborhood when only high educated people not nowhere at home, and we have to do a little trick or for them to do the neighborhood. I also like the really suburbs where a lot of people work, live with a different kind of cultures, because that mix is also making nice, good neighborhood where you can have nice food on the streets, where you can have good shops. So the monoculture with one culture, and it also can be one culture, is not the suburbs I like to transform, because the mixture is like a soup. The mixture, when it's not a lot of ingredients, that's mostly what I learned, is not a good suburb to make sustainable and circular. It's not
okay. And I remember you are someone who started in a different sector of the technology when you studied, and then suddenly you snapped and somehow you followed everything on environmental science and sustainable development, and then you became a multidisciplinary man. And I remember one of your first project that got a lot of attention was the floating exposition at the tax office in Rotterdam. How did you experience it? Because that was like for you, I think the first pillar that you came in the spotlight.
That was for the city of Rotterdam. I was then innovation manager. So first was the manager of infrastructure projects, a different kind of a new project, innovative projects in the RDM campus of the Haber, where we turned up old warehouses to innovative district with a lot of new jobs from the new industry. Then they said we need an innovation manager, so I became innovation manager. And they said, and that Rotterdam was then really, really far. They said then already, because it's a lot of years ago, they said then we see that we got from 3 different ways the water. From down, from the rain, from up, because we have the river and the water goes out. And from the side, we see also the water. So we have a lot of problems in the Netherlands because we built below sea level. Nearby, I think Rotterdam is about minus 12, 15 meters below sea level that people also live in Capella. And so we said, if you live on the water, or we have the suburbs on the water, then you will flow with all the different tides. And now we see in the climate change we have, that was really in the beginning. So also for Rotterdam, that was a good card for the whole world, and everywhere around cities came over to look how it works, how it went. If you look in areas like, for example, Bangladesh, it's also the same. Like if you live in a delta area, like a lot of big cities are living in the delta area, like Rotterdam, you have to be prepared for that water. So yeah, that was something. It's also political and driven by a lot of people that they say we want to be the front runner, and we want to develop that.
It made a big impact in Rotterdam, because today, almost 17 years later, after the floating expo, they built a floating harbor. They've built floating houses. They launched it last month. So it's really amazing what you triggered with that, right? And even when you were not involved in everything. And the same, you already mentioned that about the accident at the duck park, right? Duck park had the same effect, right? You showed that you can make a multi-space use of the duck park. And then after that, there was a whole, how do you call that? Snowball effect, that all the roofs became green in Rotterdam, and people start growing food on the roofs. So you can see that you were a game changer there. So, and I know you're very humble, but how do you handle that, the humbleness? Because people will look up to you like the great man.
No. That first explain why it was that suburb. There are not a lot of parks, so you have also dogs in the Netherlands. So the green area ahead where the children had to play. Also the dogs leave their poop. So in that area, we also want to develop new houses. So also the Medi is like more Arabic style for also other people to involve and buy houses there. And they say if we want to involve the new suburbs there, we also have to have more green. So then came up, we're gonna build their shops, so we can earn some money about implementing that, like big shops there. So for the different like furnitures and the McDonald's and whatever. And that money they used for the roof park, and also people can grow their own vegetables. And the nicest things, what I like about the project is that people have the key from the community and they close the gate and they also walk around, that people are leaving it goodbye. Yet so it started because there was not enough green, and then the roof park came. And how do you manage with it? That was your other question with all the news. And normally we prepared it very well with all the things everybody knows, like what kind of questions, the Q&A, the press releases. And most of the time I try to put other people in the front runner of the team. So the directors or whatever. Yeah.
That's what I learned. It became a multidisciplinary shop. It was a sea dike, so it protects the city for the cold air from the sea. And then big shops, of course, parking space, so that the return on investment is guaranteed for the investors, and became actually highly profitable for everybody who came there. And indeed, the community is like it's like a farm and a park in one. They have a big horticulture on top also. And I saw some projects that could combine, like the new sustainable cow farm should be located there, for example. That would be great. But that is those things that I remind. And then I remember in around 2010-11, we had another project in Rotterdam also, where we were working together, where I was the community developer and you were the energy expert. And then we were working on the energy neutrality of a city block called Heiplaat. And that was successful in what we did, but politically it was a major disaster. And now I see on the right side of you in my screen another area called Amsterdam Southeast. And everything we learned on that project in Rotterdam, you applied on Southeast and even became the energy ambassador of Amsterdam Southeast. How did that develop for you? Because it was your plan to make, and finally you achieved it, but then in another city.
Yeah, that's something funny, because in Rotterdam, Amsterdam, we have two major soccer, and normally Amsterdam always wins, but this year Rotterdam wins. It's every 8-10 years, and then the Amsterdam people have more money than the Rotterdam people. They're really angry and not happy. They can't pronounce Rotterdam then, or even the name of the soccer company. I wanted to work in Amsterdam. I worked already in Rotterdam, and to the work I had done for the big construction company, they said, Richard, we're going to develop a new area. It's Amsterdam Southeast, so that's a little island below Amsterdam, and you even have to go out of Amsterdam. It's a small couple of 100 meters, and then go in Amsterdam. So it's a new suburb built in the end 70s, 80s for the new people coming over from Suriname, but also the people from Amsterdam, even in that time, would have to have houses, in the same problems we have right now, where people have houses and they have to affordable houses, so they can pay it. And what I liked about the Amsterdam Southeast, so what I liked to work for Amsterdam to experience what it was, and what I liked about the Amsterdam Southeast is the culture there. So it's people from Ghana, people from Suriname, but also the inhabitants from Amsterdam moved from the center to more to the side of Amsterdam. They said we want to build a new second shopping mall of Amsterdam because all the tourists go to Amsterdam. So the people of Amsterdam don't want to like to shop in the center of Amsterdam anymore because they're too crowded. And we want to build a really blue city. That was the end dream of the head of that area. And that means people are more happy, live longer, are healthy. Sometimes they talk about the 100 years generation. So you have to can be there 100 years. And now
that was a project for you that changed you again, because your reward was that you were entitled with the energy ambassador of Amsterdam Southeast, because it should be able to become fully energy neutral in 2030, because that's the plan that you created with the team.
40.
Oh, 40. And then it became an example for the whole city, and that led to what we are doing now is the integral design method public space, if I'm correct.
Yeah, when I started there, the head Ellen asked me with Anushka, can you help develop this area? And to be sure, there already live about 100,000 people. We're gonna add about 80,000 people, so that the city almost doubles. There's a lot of green, so there is a lot of space. And she said, yeah, I first want that you help me to make guidelines, and it will take you, she said to me, 1.5 years. I said, that's bananas. I never work 1.5 years. That's what I normally do in a test, 1.5 years, and then I leave. She said, no, Richard, there's a lot of talking, a lot of people talking about sustainability, but it's not good organized. So what is by the major office and all the deputies, what they agree to do is not good on paper. And everybody talks a lot, but it's not good, well organized. So in the beginning, we make like the manuals, what they agree to do, what they want to do, and what is the dream what to do. The other 3 things are in the manuals. And also they say we have like a business area, and we want to transform it to a living business area. So the square meters of business areas will stay there, only we add a lot of new high rises, but a lot of houses on top. So but the integral method, we call it the EOR. We make a manual how to make a sustainable city, because what we noticed, there are a lot of cables and pipes already in the ground. Nobody has a manual to make a sustainable city. And then we said with a big team, yeah, let's make that, because it has to be known how to make it. You have a lot of rain, heat island effect, you have to be green, how many like new birds and species you want to involve, like a microorganism. And it's a shame if you make just one skyscraper or one building, it's like an organism. So every building can add an extra bird species, can extra amphibious, and so you have to make the whole surrounding in like the top. So the first layer of the building is always smaller, because if you're standing on the street, you don't want to see to a skyscraper. It's nicer to see a little bit small, more building. That's also good for your mind. And on that layer, we also do the green roofs, and people can stand and also and that layer is always in the ground layer connected also with the green. So we made a totally area where the green, the blue, the green structures, but also the yellow structures of the energy is all going in the whole suburb. So we rethinked how to develop a city and make it really sustainable, but in a different ways. All the major problems we have right now, we can't develop like we develop now. It isn't possible. So we have to redevelop and make new manuals how to do it. So
yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing, because we have the terminology in the politics called a forest city, and actually the integral design method became a nature city, and a nature city meaning fully sustainable, nature integrated, so the water problems also solved, energy problems can be solved locally and by power plants via the grid. And then the circularity, so working to zero waste in 2050, and then the manual is still under how do you call it? Is still under construction, but the basic foundation is there. And I know you didn't do that alone, and there's hundreds of people.
No, it's a really big team, and one of the front runners you already had on the top is Joyce. Yeah.
The foundation is amazing, and Joyce, of course, I know her very well because I tried to bring the integral design method to Indonesia. It's already published here. But I have another thing about it, because you're now in the phase that you are developing your own methods and teaching people how to use that, and that lead to things like the EOR and like other things. How does it make you feel? Because what is your end game in there?
Yes, the nicest thing is that my little girl asks sometimes people, well, Daddy, what are your dreams? And then you think, I have to think about, because you're working all day. But the end dream in this area is what I do. It's like the blue zone. So people are happy, live longer, they have enough green to go out. They have a lot of work, walking, cycling, not too many cars on the street, but good transportation, like small steps and everything that you can move forward, and that your mind is clear and you feel happy. And what I like is that we transform a suburb and make like a really nice city for everybody to live in. And that is the end game for the different suburbs, and every city is different. And for example, the new challenge with the campus, that's a lot of students are there. So that's also different. So every time you see a new challenge for a suburb, and maybe the next challenge will do a bigger region or a bigger country. To make
my opinion, you are secretly conquering the world with your ideas and your visions, because I also know from you, you are one of the most humble people I ever met. I know that a lot of big parties, I will not mention their names, but a lot of international engineering companies, organizations for product development, always ask you on the background for the difficult problems, how to solve that in Delta engineering, sustainability, and then they implement it in Africa, in India, and everywhere, and they get the credits. But you were always the one that take out the knots to make the project fluently for them. And how do you solve that? Because I would say Richard did that, but others would say, no, we did that.
Yeah, that's my end game always. The people, and it's not about yourself, it's about if the people succeed and they have the credits, it's their idea. I think that's one. I want a lot of prizes.
Stimulate them to make the idea operational. You stimulate them to make the idea.
Yeah, to make it, and then it's their idea, because then they go for it, and they also take it along, write it along, changed it, and it's their idea. I think the Chinese people say, if people steal your idea, it's like a compliment. And this is different if they if you make in a team, because I always work in team, I never work solo. I always work with people or ask people to train, to ride along, so we do it also together. If they're their idea and they think it's their challenge and their good goal, they also do it in the long run, because I always work there for a year and a half, a couple of years. So at the end, the people who are staying there, it also has to be their proud announcement, proud projects. And for me, it's good enough that I'm part of that great project. And if there's problems, they call me again still, because it's their challenge, their goal they achieve. So, and that's and I'm really proud of a lot of nice people who are trained and coached and did really nice projects. It's something.
Because of you, I'm a community developer. I help people change their mindset. But because of you, especially the last 7 years when I'm here in Indonesia, You changed me almost in a sustainable expert in everything you taught me and explained for me. And
yeah, you first asked me to come to Indonesia and tell to train people, and then I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to train you,
yeah,
because I think it's not about yourself; it's about spreading the words and the ideas to make the community of sustainable people wider. There's so many jobs in this sector.
yeah,
There's so many. You also can have a good, affordable job. I always say to people, and I really liked the nicest thing we saw on a big building in Belgium. That's near the city next to, of the country next to the Netherlands. They said on a building, JET, GTP, try to beat this.
yeah.
And
I saw
that is great, because when we work with our hands, we make projects. The AI, they can help us with a lot of things. We also use the building system, but they can't build a building. They can't make it like we do, and we did with your hands. You can make something nice, and with the people, with the creativity and the community, then you create something that the AIs have to train, I think, 30, 40 years to make something all people like to have. So I think to share your knowledge and to make it wider, I also learn things from you on a different way. So that on the way you give it back to me. So that's the nicest thing. It's like open source knowledge exchange. Yeah.
And then when we talk about the something else that actually happened in your shadow, actually, you have this training now that you call duurzaam GWW, sustainable infrastructure. But I remember that started a long time ago when you were asked to help what is it, the Green Building Council of the Netherlands, and then with some friends you created Ambition Web 1, I think maybe more than 20 years ago, and that was just a trick. There was just a mapping, like how do you call that? Same as the integral design method, public space actually, but then simplified for project development to have a compass for the management structure, right? To implement sustainability. That was always for you in that time just a tool, and then since a few years ago that tool became almost mandatory for every project in the Netherlands by the government. How does it make you feel?
What we saw in the Netherlands was with Ambition Web. It is what the whole sector developed. What we saw is that the governments don't work aligned with the same kind of tooling and goals. That's always what you see. I'll say we write nice things in a map, and then really extract, and we say we want to be energy central in 2040, like, and then we don't calculate, we don't tell how to do it, we don't tell what are the main projects, so etc. So the ambition was that all the governments in the Netherlands will use that in the projects, and not a small project. So if the small project they do in a big elevator development, to do just also to save money. So they do it for all the projects, but sometimes you do a lot of projects together that are similar. And also we say we don't. I also is good at when you go hunting, then with you can have like a blowgun with a low spread to kill the deer. Don't do that. But it's and we said that if you use that at the end, you see the solar panel on the lantern pole, and something high ambition will say, oh, this is sustainable, and the rest of the project isn't sustainable. So we have to say we have to more focus on the projects so that it is really going into the building, into the street. And then we integrated. So we aligned with all the governments, the government tendering. If you see what the government is tendering, I don't know if in Indonesia, but it also will be big. If you see the tendering in the Netherlands, and we also use the same tooling and we use the same goals, then you really make impact, because all the suppliers will gain for that higher goal, because then you can sell a lot of projects, for example, or you can have more projects, so you have a good resume and can have more projects. So that's what we agreed with the whole sector. So that's big engineering companies, also all the government agencies, but also the water agencies in the Netherlands are really also big. So the province, the state, They also said we will work with it, and we have a goal that we implemented. That was 2030 as business as usual. So that was 2000. Yeah, and the
one more
business.
thing, one
Yeah.
more thing, because we are close to your ending. Sustainability is not profitable according to a lot of people, and business and how you taught me, right? Everything is about the money. If we build a building, if we implement a new infrastructure, whatever, it's always about the money. So I learned from you that the aim of the project development that you do, including the ambition map and all the rest around it, and the way you integrate the sustainable level. Corruption is a word that is very ugly, but it happens everywhere, and mostly the biggest problem when we develop projects. And that's why you, what I understood, created a situation where everybody wins, right? Can you explain more about that? Because it doesn't matter who, everybody makes money. That's why Amsterdam is happy.
Yeah, really are jealous on a lot of young people going to the university, and they can learn now the sustainable profession. I did a lot of different education, so the civil, the building, the forestry, the culture of the landscape, etc., etc. So when you go to, first you go to the stakeholders, like in every project, and you see what are the main people in that project and where they earn their money. So that are the people normally earn money on that projects. And what we always look at, how we can change with that kind of people, that they have a new driver, they also can put it on the web page and new something new, they can sell it to the clients, but we can have a new driver where they still can earn money with and change the system a little bit. So you go to the, normally you say, no, we have all new companies that have to do it. Then the old companies will be engines and not want to succeed. But if you give a lot of the old companies the role that they can learn and make money with the sustainable projects, then that will be their driver. The same thing, when they succeed and they are happy with it, they will go and they will be copied by the other parties, because they are the main driver then in that sector and learning more money. Because in Holland it works, they also have like the tendering, but there also is tendering on a level that you can ask 5 people or 3 people. So when you are more sustainable than the rest, a lot of the cities will ask you for the smaller projects, and you have one-on-one, they call it one-on-one, but it's 3 or 5 people. But then it's not like the big tendering, so you can earn more money. And then it's mostly about the sustainable aspect. So they give you more opportunity to have more projects. So that's what I always look in the same sector, how we can change with the sector. Of course, there also are new change makers coming in, like new projects and all, but also look at the existing companies, how to make money with sustainable. And it's always possible. Just think good about the project. What are the problems? Not think in the old ways, on what we can change. And that's the main challenge. What I always
because that's what I like the most when I studied some of your examples that you sent me for projects. What I saw was that on governance level, they have the same problem as, for example, here in Indonesia. The governments do not have much money, and you have to involve the companies who are going to make it, to push them on a gentle way to innovate on sustainable solutions that are profitable for themselves, but also for the community, right? And that's actually the biggest challenge. But everybody's trying that.
It's the same in every country. That's the same.
Yeah,
yeah
but everybody's trying that. But you succeeded in that in certain areas.
Yeah, but what you do is you go to the front runners in the sector, and that won't be the biggest company. So you have always people are 1, 2, or 3. But the most innovation is in 4, 5, and 6. It's not in the top 3. So a lot of people go to the top 3 talking, but you never talk to the first 3. Yeah, talk and have coffee, but go to the 4, 5, and 6. What they want to be 1, 2, and 3, and then also go to the existing suppliers, because there's the most innovation. And then if you don't have money, it doesn't matter. You tender, and when you tender, and you can change and add some rules in it, that you want to have a sustainable project. What we learned is that we only try to do in every project, still in the beginning, one game changer, not 20 or 10. Just focus on one project and do it okay, do it well. And what we always do with the universities, we call it like the hingstap sprong. So I explain it in English. So first you do a small step. You do a jump? It's like the sport. And then you go for the long run. So, for example, you first do a house, you renovate it on a new way. You have you look at all the university, what to have improved, what is better. Also, that's value for the companies, because the university, when they evaluate your prototype or whatever you build, and it's good, that's a report you can use for your other clients. That's good. The universities say it's good. So we also do that with the universities. And then we implement it a little bit bigger, for example, one block, if you look at houses, and then we can do a small couple of hundred houses, 1,000 houses. So that method we're using, so start small, but do it with universities. We always do it with different kind of universities, business universities. We have civil, we have the TU Delft, so that's more the university of the building, of the civil engineering. We also have logistic managers. So we always have to work and to go faster with all the universities and different high schools, but to be sure that we learn as much as possible in every different new projects. And if it's in the government, you want to have it a pilot, because then people can make faults. You call it a pilot, call it a small project, but be sure that you learn as much as possible, but also look at the next step. What you see is that you have a lot of pilots, but it doesn't go along. And I think the universities go along. In Amsterdam, we'll have like an open source network. It's a website where all the different thesis of all the students can be downloaded and people learn, and all the people coming in from the universities, they also can get all the data and not start anew, but start from that point. So we have in Amsterdam Southeast an energy lab where a lot of students every year, about 45, do this thesis, and we have different programs where we evolve and go faster. So I think it's not, I think the government can learn a lot to integrate more with all the professors and all the universities together. That's what we also did. We did that also in Rotterdam, where we met in the RDM campus.
Yeah, but that is also the situation that I have here in Indonesia. In Indonesia, there's an urge for solutions, but they still need to align the governance, right, for the project. And I know you as a governance expert. If you talk about the in-between space between the government and the constructors and the operational people, and we can talk hours about all the solutions that came forward for that. What is it? The titanium frames to absorb pollution in the city, that kind of stuff. I've seen floating constructions. I see water management in tunnels and in shores at the rivers. Some things that are a result of the way things are managed, and very innovative about everything. And now, for example, there's this new thing going on in the Netherlands. And I share it with my Indonesian friends, and they're all actually surprised and amazed, because why? Indonesian project development and technology, they actually follow Europe in using concrete and the materials and the way we build and the technologies that we use, because many people studied at TU Delft and TU Eindhoven and Twente, but also in the other cities in Europe. And then suddenly I showed them Hout. And the project Hout, and then Indonesian.
Yeah, we had a really nice thing about it. That's
why do you use wood?
Building in Indonesia? What are you doing? Why
exactly.
not cement? Why are you building wood?
Yeah, exactly. They banned all the wood here because they thought that the new development, and now suddenly Hout comes. And I know in Amsterdam Southeast there's also a social project going on to develop 700 houses from wood.
Yeah, we really also use bamboo as a building material.
Yeah. So
The driver for the.
Why do you do that? Why does
no, I didn't do that, but the main
why the
driver,
Netherlands?
yeah, we do all the surroundings and buildings
Yes.
with the thing, but the main driver now is the carbon, and in wood it's carbon embodied. So if you use wood, then you have like a negative carbon for your houses. So for example, if you build high rises, the first two labor and the ground labor is like, for example, recycled concrete, and then we build like the structure of wood on it, and the current where the elevators is most also now in concrete, sometimes in wood. But the main driver now is that we see that in Holland it's very dense city, and we have a lot of problems with all the emissions and everything going because we are density. So we also see now, we did some different reports right now, in 5 to 7 years, we have a lockdown in carbon. So we used up all our carbon. And in 2025, we have new rules about circularity. When you have a permit, you have to be really, really strict to gain that role. And also there are carbon in that permits. So if we don't change the building system and still going on the old ways with the cement produced right now, cement is one of the biggest carbon emissions around the world. So we have to change everything. And we also look at bio-based products. So we now looking at an exchange system in the Netherlands that the farmers will grow the building materials we use. And that's also with carbon emissions. So we have to, because of the new regulations from the European Union, and also the Netherlands will change. But in the other hand, the old Western phase of bio-based materials we also used in the small cities. And I be sure in Indonesia, all the outhouses, all that things will be coming back in a little bit different way. But also it's possible to use, because that kind of materials, it doesn't, we call it sweat, it doesn't sweat, so it doesn't rot more. So if you use it in a different way, a new way, that's good. And we're now looking at industrial way of building. So we have now a lot of factories in the Netherlands where they produce like all the different facades and the different building materials, because then we can build faster. And we don't use as much materials as we did for, and there's more labor. So the more labor on the different labor and training on the working space. And normally you have all small materials going in and build a long time, but then going back to the half time, then you can build really, really fast. You use your materials really, really well, because you don't have too much waste. One of the building sectors are also one of the biggest waste problems we have right now. So and we also can look what we have in the country, and we can use it to build with. So also saves a lot of money if you have to import it, save a lot of diesel for the ship, save a lot of CO2. So and the economy of your own country you use, because you build it and grow it locally. So if you look in the circular way, it will generate more jobs. It's more like healthy. And you can put more people to labor, not only in the agriculture, but also in the building, because it's because you all do prefabricated. A lot of people can do it. It's not like you have to have a lot of learnings, and we make a little program, people starting, and at the end, what they can achieve on different layers of jobs. So you can learn a little bit more.
So what I understand, what you just explained, how you taught me, is that this actually improves the investment climate, because there's more money available, because they make more profit and things are cheaper, and because of the jobs it will be more the social economy will improve from the people that live in the area, so they will be more happy and can spend more money. It will save the environment, it will contribute to the carbon emission that they have, and what you're actually saying is that all the SDGs are integrated and balanced there. Because I hear education, I hear reshaping of equality, I hear lawmaking, and that's also the thing that makes me trying to bring this here, right? Because
we're looking at the ESG, so the environmental, social, and government. We're also building like parametric models right now with all the parameters in it. That ESGs are in the green bonds. And the green bonds means if you do the labor, the governments, and the environment,
I understand,
that's a good investment climate. So yes, we also look at the business case. And what we're now trying to do with the big 4 cities, if we can make the tendering rules like the same, so the industrialization, the factories can make the same facade for every city, and not for this city is that, for this city is that, because that also can be a more affordable project. And we think in 1 or 2 years, because maybe faster, it will be also on the same level like the buildings that we did before. So that's the game changer. It will be at the end cheaper, but now it's a little bit more expensive, about 10%. We think sometimes the same, what we see already. And at the end, it will be cheaper because everything is locally. So you didn't need all the problems with the fossil fuels, costs going up, the transport and the materials. At the end, it will be cheaper. Yeah.
That's the most important, because that's also what I like about it, because we work together to make the Ambition Web and all the tools and Duurzaam GWW to make it available for Indonesia. You gave me all the background information. I try to create that into a development method that is suitable for Indonesia. We have now a partner in there, Institute Technology Bandung, Professor Hono, with his team, who will work on the last add-on. But that's for the future. More important today was about you, so I want to thank you for your time. I know you're very busy and you're actually eager to go. You have to bring the kids to school, you have to go to work.
Yeah, after Corona, I like to bring the youngest to school when possible. Yeah.
This video will be live streamed later or launched on the YouTube from Event Serda. So do you have any message for the Indonesian audience from your perception if we talk about sustainable development?
Yeah, we always say 1 + 1 is 3, and a lot of people say 1 + 1 is 3. So if you work together with the different different sectors like the universities, but also the different innovation, the supply chain, and people are working in the projects, also don't mention to forget them. You work and you can change the system. But yeah, what you said before, that's true. Everybody has to be right along in the new business, so they have to also be there. Something they can earn, or the challenged, or something they can sell, or go to the clients with something new. So also look at the sectors and change together. And it's a system change. And the nicest thing, if you do it in a team and you favorite a lot of people that have their own goal and they achieve that, it's like every winning project for everybody. So it's not about you, it's about the team, it's about the effort and the end goal you're achieving. And what I like when I see a lot of people we trained or a lot of projects, and still after a couple of years going well and people are happy, that's the one I live for. So I can go with my children and say, Papa was one of the people that achieved that. That's my thing.
Papa was one of the people who tried to make the world a better place where everybody can be happy, healthy, and grow 100 years old, right?
If it's possible, yeah, that's the end game. But not that we'd achieve it on the short term, but the end game is that every city can have a blue zone. You can Google that, what it is. So when you have a blue zone, people are more happy, live longer. So I hope that everybody have a blue zone. And if you look in Indonesia, with the nice country it is, that's possible. But yes, yeah, it's the same problem we have in all the cities. We have to change the radical system. And you can't do that alone. You have to do it with the same old system you have right now. You can change it, really baby steps. I'll call it baby steps, but really baby steps. And it doesn't matter that it takes slow, better slow than stop and go backwards. Because now with all the problems with the climate and everything, we go backwards and really, really rapidly fast.
Well, so, I'll be honest. If a country like Indonesia is now emerging and they have to develop a lot of infrastructure from scratch, so they don't have to change things. And that's why I believe that knowledge that you and your experts around you and the teams would be of, how do you call that? Enormous value for the Indonesian development, because they can actually grow faster than you. and better than you and
Yeah,
more sustainable than you.
sure. The nicest thing is in another country. I call it in the Netherlands. We have a small a small radar, so we call it like
Yeah.
small wheels, and we have to turn a really small wheel, and then the end the big system will go because it's reorganized. If you start from scratch or a little from scratch, you can go really fast because you don't have to turn all the wheels.
Exactly.
So yes, true. I always say when I come to Amsterdam, I say sometimes I have to learn new things I did in Africa, but in Africa in a circular way, they're much further than we in Holland. And they say, what? We bring sometimes money to Africa, but yeah, but on a circular way, they're much further. I did things in houses I can do here because of the regulation, the permits. So I bring like developing knowledge I already did in Africa to the Netherlands, and also say, what? That isn't possible. Yes, it's possible. So yes, you can go faster. And we showed people when we in the Rotterdam and Amsterdam when we started how much you can achieve in a small couple of years to work again. So yes, it can. And I hope everybody is faster, because then it's a challenge for the people that think they're now faster. And people go faster, they go like well against, they have to improve more. So that will be more driver also for the other one. So I hope
I see that idea of the rest of the world developing faster based on the experience and knowledge that we already had in the small projects. That makes you very happy because you're smiling the whole time when you talk.
Yeah, it's nice to change the system a little bit better for the better world, because yeah, for our children, for the people living next to it, if you see where we now and what we see happening really fast, we go to the boundaries of the environment. We almost are too late, maybe, or we are too late in some situations. So we don't change the system for our children will be it will be terrible. So also do it for the children and the children from the children. Yeah.
Richard, thank you for your time, because you're right. It's not 2 for 12, it's 2 minutes about 12, and you need to go in 2 minutes. So
yeah, I have to really go fast. Yeah.
I want to thank you for your time, and we talk again later in our own conversations. Thank you for today, and I hope
and thank you for your also for your time, and thank you for the lesson today about the nice trees growing back for you. That's something I learned in this early morning here. Okay,
bye. See you later, bye.
Bye.